Right. Let's see what we got here. Hi, everybody. Look, everybody joining in. Hi, everybody that's joined in. Let me just get myself settled here. And I'll start. All right. All right, guys, welcome. So we are pinging out live on YouTube. I'm gonna let the few of them get settled in here. As soon as I get settled in, then we will get started. It's a good topic for me tonight. It's one of my favorite topics. That's why I'm actually kind of giddy about tonight. And then we have this gorgeous woman on tonight that I get to chat with at the end. Miss Sarah will join us, and then we will open up to Q&A at the end. If anybody has extra questions, you guys know to type them into the chat for the group. If you have any questions immediately or that we're running through, as I see them, they're faster. I do check the poll or the Q&A later, so we'll check that as well. So hopefully you guys are doing okay. Friday, I haven't seen you guys since last week, and so I'm just going to chit chat here for a few minutes while we allow everybody to log in to the live call and go from there. Let's see. Let me just give a quick hi. So we have a, let me just check this guys real quick and see what's going on. Okay, there we go. So I've got a update real quick, just because I think a lot of you had already logged in, but just so you know, on the YouTube, there is last Friday, I posted late, but it's kind of the, yes, Jill, I can see what you send there. Thank you, by the way, I can see it very quickly. So last Friday, I did post out a question, or I'm sorry, a full moon lunar eclipse update. It was a doozy, and you're gonna feel it for up to 6 months. Full moons, they're like, yes, they come and go once a month, but that one was a lunar eclipse and it was in beliefs. And so when we ever get it in areas of topics of like beliefs and topics that are, that poke us a little bit, our beliefs are so special, and you know, it's what we believe, and it's what's important, and it's very valuable to us, and it's almost like more valuable than kind of things at times. And so when your beliefs get poked, people get wobbly and kind of disheveled at times, and that's not bad. It's just, if you know it, it's a lot easier to let go of those beliefs that aren't, you know, helping you in any way. So that full moon was Friday, and you're going to feel it for a little while. So if you do, don't take it personal. Don't think it's bad. It actually is a very good thing. And that's the good news, right? So the good news is that we're going to make some changes, and it's going to start improving just the way we look at life in general. And that's the good thing. So full moon, lunar eclipse, that one was fun. And it's going to start getting everybody all, you know, wobbly and uncomfortable. And that's, it's just something I want you guys to be understanding, that it's not here to hurt you, it's here to help you. All right. And that's what it did. It's just waking you up to new thoughts and ideas. So let's get started on tonight's call. Welcome to the Truth Tribe. Those of you who are new to the Truth Tribe, This is an open discussion on the truths of the universe in the grid and how we're functioning in this world on a bigger level, on a bigger scale. Those of you who've been here before, you all know me. My name is Dawn Thompson, and we are going to talk about some topics tonight that I think are just hard for people to wrap their brain around. And it's not that hard if you can look at things from a different perspective, from an energetic consciousness perspective. So the best way I can describe tonight is going to be basically a consciousness call. We are going to discuss consciousness, and last call, I apologize. I had a lot of, technical difficulties. And so I wanted to show you the consciousness scale. Now I have a condensed version of a consciousness scale that I use, and I'm going to pop up on the screen. Later, I'll give you guys access to it with the link, and you guys can open it, print it, whatever you want to do with it, but I'll put it up on the screen for you so you can see it. And so when we talk about tonight, the topics are protesting for others is for you, which is interesting, and confident consciousness, like how confident are you in your consciousness? And that's something we want to discuss. So I wanted to begin by sharing my 10,000 foot observation from the grid, because I go up above out into the grid and I kind of take this viewpoint down onto the planet, and what do I feel? What do I pick up? And I ask my guides what's happening. And so the good news is that the planet is waking up. The rough news is that those who benefit from you being asleep aren't happy, right? So whether it's either in society in general, the powers that be, whatever it is, and or at home. And I mean at home in all environments. So close to you all the way up to, societal. When so the only thing that's important about this wake up is your intention to stay awake with light. That's what I am getting that is super important and that we have to focus on, right? And so some people you're noticing need to share their gloom in order to find their gloom tribe, all right? And then some people are sharing their lighthouse moments to find their truth tribes. And it's a struggle because we think it's one or the other, and it's just not. It's just where people are consciously, right? So it's the energy of power versus force. Are you standing in your power, or are you trying to force your mindset and your belief into someone else or something else? Neither is right or wrong. If you look with your heart, it's resonance. And if you look with your eyes, it's ego. And so heart is a vibration and an energetic pull, and eyes just look from the mind. And so the good news that I got when I picked all of this up is that technology, guys, is your ticket out. The bad news is that you must be in a power vibration when you use it, because it's kind of presenting this gloom and growth opportunity, right? You can use technology for growth and it's going to catapult you into an amazing place, or we use it for gloom, and then it keeps us in a sticky place, right? And so one glaring truth that I've seen repeating from others throughout the week, and then that full moon and the lunar eclipse, was a lot of finger pointing, right? And I witnessed it with several meltdowns throughout the week. And so it wasn't like a new thing. So that's why I always tell you guys I love patterns, because I get to watch it with multiple clients and multiple groups, and I start seeing they're all doing the same meltdown. Every conversation I was in began with, they did this to me. This is what they need to do to change, and they are bad. Does it sound familiar to any of you guys? Okay. Does this vibration and sound bite that I'm giving you sound familiar? So what's challenging is after that fourth meltdown, I was like, oh, I got to watch like what's going on here. What seemed to be a blanket statement, and it's something I've shared on past calls, so I'm going to bring it up again, was a lot of finger pointing. Okay. And what came out, everybody, was, get ready. It was anger, aggression, antagonizing, and accusing. And when that's surfacing, you have to go, okay, I understand kind of what, but why? And when we get to the group consciousness, this collective planetary consciousness, right? This isn't just a United States thing, and it's not another country. It's the entire global planet that is experiencing this, right? So anger, aggression, antagonizing, accusing, it's coming up everywhere, no matter where you look, right? And it all adds up to one thing, being wounded, right? And so I'm going to give it to you very simple. This is how easy you look at what's happening on the planet today. Get ready. Hurt people hurt people. And many people have heard this phrase before, but I'm going to say it again. Hurt people, someone who's hurt, hurts people. Why? Because they're wanting to resonate and their consciousness vibrates at that hurt place. So they want other people to be in that hurt place so they can hurt together. Simple. That's it. We can be done with the call. We can be done with the call tonight because that's it. That's really all you need to know. But that's what's happening on a simplistic level. It's what I picked up energetically. Not those words, but the energetic is, hey, you need to keep yourself lighter, right? And so if this is surfacing for everyone on the planet, then it's time for us to really own our life on this planet and stop watching it as a movie, right? Because it's not watching the movie. It's your own damn show. I mean, your show right here, right? And so it's for you, and it's only showing up for what you need to see. You can't see what you don't vibrate at. That's what's freaking people out. Like when you're really upset, it's because what you're seeing is in there, or else you wouldn't vibrate there. So if you vibrate in fear and you walk and talk fear, and if you vibrate in love, you're going to walk and talk love, no matter what the environment is. Okay. So I want you to think about this. Are you projecting a fear vibe, right? So fear, it's going to show up, and then you're watching it. Ask others to feel the same fear so we can all be accepted, right? Those are groups of people you're watching. You've seen it. I don't need to give you the specifics that you're watching on the TV, on the screen. So fear in any relationship, bring it back to home. Fear starts projecting, pointing the finger. If you do A, B, and C, then I'll accept you. Really? Do you really agree and think that's true? I mean, is that pure truth? Because we're in the truth tribe here, right? So that's what's fascinating here is, do you really think that's true? And it's not a truth, right? People do things to please others all the time, and they're still not happy, the person that they're pleasing. And that's my point. So what you're watching is your own self dying in 3D, in HD, in holographic real time, playing out in a movie. Okay. And so the fear that's coming up for everybody is fear of death, which we talked about this the last time, but it's coming up deeper now. And it's not you dying, it's the fear of your beliefs dying, which was what that full moon did on Friday. Okay. Fear of acceptance. Why do you think that you have these mass gatherings going on around the planet? You having to accept yourself and leave others be. But that we got to get somewhere first to know we're okay to look within. So we're moving to where we feel comfortable enough, right? Fear of security. You have to choose what you vibrate out. Are you feeling secure or insecure? So when body, mind, and spirit are full in all of these areas, okay, body, mind, and spirit, no one can control you. You all have power completely. And so when I get to the topic now, and I want to bring this up, protesting for others is for you. And I think it's kind of selfish, to be honest with you. I think it's a place where I get really that was where I was getting worked up. And not a negative, like not judging them, but more in a, guys, like if you're going to go and tell someone else what they have to do to be better, there's those fingers again. So this was the people I saw melting down. This is the globe. This is the planet, which was then going back out to the grid and going, oh, so we're all being asked to go within and wake up. So whatever we protest out into the world is what we have to heal, right? So what does that mean? Consciousness is visual for all of you to see right now. Well, I'll give you the consciousness grid in a second. I'm going to bring it up for you on the screen. I'll share my screen. But the best way I can say this is that when you're getting frustrated right now, your consciousness goes and dips down low for a while, right? Because it's avoiding the release of parts of yourself that you don't like. That's simple. There are parts of all of us that we don't like. And then it goes down there and says, remember that? Hey, remember that? And you're like, no, that's what's doing. So whether it's an internal or external meltdown that you're partaking in, they're just simply when you drop below 200 and then the vibration goes down long enough to remind you what you don't want. And then when you restore the power to your lighthouse, as we've talked about, you rise above 200 and you feel relief again. And so that's what's really cool about this, right? So truth is not tricky, guys. People are like, well, I just don't know what the truth is. No, you really do. Truth is easy unless it rattles your beliefs. Now, here's the thing. You all need to get clean. You all need to come clean with yourselves. Some of your truths are not their truth. And some of their truths are not your truth. And that's okay. And so we are all in like this belief wreckage, you might call it, like just everything's wrecked, right? And so many have been taught what to believe for so long. What you see is true, or what you're being told to see has been true for so long, right? So we've been going on blind belief with your eyes and not your heart, which is where resonance is, right? Which is where this vibrational field is for you. And you know if it feels good in your heart or not. And so this external that we've been believing, that we've been seeing for truth, which is doctors and pills and products and all these things externally will save your life, right? That's what you're told. You were supposed to believe that. But there was no responsibility in what you were supposed to believe in here. It was only being told to believe out there. And that's why we're all getting tripped up. Okay. So stuff outside is the cure to your life's happiness. And then now many are finding out what they thought would bring them joy isn't matching up. Interesting, right? So what we are taught outside is starting to be in conflict with the inside. It's that simple. It's that simple. And so the collective, I mean by the collective planet, right? The entire planet is this collective mindset of energy, is waking up to this truth of a higher vibration. And so the war that you're all watching on the external, right, it's inside of many, it's also inside of you. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm not that. Well, I'm not that. And I didn't do that. And the answer is whatever you're being vibrationally pulled to, whether it's to watch or see, I want you to understand that it's just triggering the war that's going on in here. So it's that please see me, right? The I need you to see me. Do you think I'm good enough? What are you watching up close and personal is the please see me, right? See my pain, see my anger, see my hurt, see it and be here with me. I don't want to do it alone anymore. And you're seeing groups come together and go, I've been alone, I've been numbed, I've been drugged. And I don't mean drug negative, but we've been taking meds to support our functions of our body. You guys are nature. I've told you this 100 times. Your body knows what to do. It knows. So we don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to be in pain. We don't want to be numbed. We want to wake up, and we are. Cool. That's what I was told, right? And so we've been going outside of ourselves so that we feel better, and then we're getting continually disappointed. Like, well, that didn't work, and that didn't work, and why isn't this working? Because the truth, get ready, it's inside of you. It's not outside, it's in here. And so if we keep asking people for advice or what to do, or is that true? And they say yes, and you're like, but it doesn't feel true. That's why. And you have a whole collective doing this. So if you join even just a thought group, someone's like, well, I think they think how I think, and then it goes against your truth, the idea might be true for them, but if it's opposing yours, it's going to be upsetting. Because truth is inside of you, and it's different for everyone. And so the universe is not asking you guys to swing polarized, right? And go to the other side. It's too extreme. So if you're way over here and someone's angry that you're over here and they want you to get to their side, they're going to be angry at you because it's too far for them to come meet you way over there, which is why I keep promoting neutrality. Get to the middle. right? It's why I'm asking for you to get to the center, because coming to the middle is a lot easier for someone way over here to meet you than to have you go way over to the opposite. The polarization's too much for people. It's overwhelming. Okay. And so what can you do to stay neutral? Thinking about this in two forms: power versus force, as consciousness scale shows us. Okay. So let me pull this up real quick. I'm going to pull you guys up the consciousness scale. Let me just share my screen. All right, let's see what we got here. Here, I'm going to share my screen just for a second so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So this is the consciousness scale that I'm sharing with all of you. And if you look at it, this is not the full consciousness scale. This is my personal consciousness scale that I use. I show experience and emotion, right? And you look at it from here, you can see down here at 20, which would be 0, and then up here to 1,000. This is even God consciousness. If you believe in higher power or God consciousness, this would be like Buddha and Christ and people who walk the planet. God consciousness. It's very high. It's enlightened. It's most people on this planet will never get there. Most people never get to even joy. They're not happy, which is sad, but it's rare that we get into reason and acceptance, right? And a lot of people want to get to love. That's why we focus on love, because once you get there, everything gets to just blissfulness and joy and acceptance and understanding. So up here, you're going to look at these words, guys, and you start to go, wow, okay, I get where she's coming from on the consciousness scale. Okay. So if you force your belief and it responds back to you with resistance and angry and hurt, that's why you're down here in the energy of force, which is hate and craving, anxiety, regret, despair, blame. Well, the experience you're having is pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, and shame. And these emotions are going to surface when you're down here below and you're forcing people to feel your hate, to feel your anxiety, to feel your anger, to feel your fear. And I'm bringing it down to the fear. Okay. And so if you stay in power consciousness, which is back up here, which is why I try to get all of you to get into minimally 250. Now the planet collectively is about, if I checked it right, this is the David Hawkins consciousness scale. It's about 220 if I'm remembering the last time I checked. I think we've moved up a point or two, not quite sure. So to get past 200 of courage and affirming people and telling them they're beautiful and amazing and kind, that's my goal. That's my goal, to push you all to 250 and to trust in neutrality, trusting your truth. Because trusting who you are and why you're here changes the game, because it gets you into being more optimistic and forgiving and understanding and reasoning and acceptance and allowing. And so my goal is to help you all get above the 200 level. And when you dip going, oh, that's right, I know I'm forcing, you see down here, this is forcing energy. Doesn't work. But when you're above, you stand in power of just allowing things to flow. And allowing and boundaries are above the line, above this line right here of 200. That's like the lighthouse that never moves and just allows the boats to make their way to you. Okay. And then the belief bullies, when they're down here and they're telling you have to believe this and you have to believe that, and you're bad and you should feel guilty and you should feel shameful. It's very, very forced, heavy energy, and it doesn't feel good. And so my energy is these belief bullies are surfacing for a reason, because they're pulling you back down here. So they're actually mini lighthouses. I know that sounds crazy, but they're little lighthouses you don't even know you need, because when they pull you down here, you go, I don't want to feel like that. It feels forced. It feels heavy. It feels intense. I don't want to feel like that, right? So they're making you wake up to come back up to the top. What do you believe? And I shared this in my full moon video on Friday about shifting your beliefs, okay? So I want you to start to watch your own barriers and walls and breaking down. I'm going to go off and stop sharing this with you guys, but just so you know, I still have it. It's back on the, it's on my website. I'll share it with you at the end so you guys can open it and print it off the website and have the full version for yourself. To keep, save on your phone, whatever the case may be. But what's really cool about this has all been vibrationally tested, which is the collective consciousness. The planet it's been for a long time. It's 50, 60 to 80 years. Okay. So this is a very slow process. So don't think, oh, tomorrow I think I'm going to go be 1,000 and I'm going to be Buddha. You're not. It's hard. It's hard work. So don't think that you guys are doing anything wrong. What I do want you guys to understand, what you are doing is doing these incremental shifts to go, that's right. If I can focus on staying there, it changes your game. And every one of you changing your game above the level of force, it lights up your lighthouse and you make lots of lighthouses, which is kind of cool. All right. So I want you guys to start watching your barriers and your walls that are breaking down in response to those you see externally, because you're going to see those who you are resonating with, and some might trigger you, right? And if you have a vibrational resonance, you're going to be able to see that this protesting you're seeing, it's where you can start to begin to heal yourself. Some of it won't bother you. Most of this doesn't bother me. It really doesn't really have a lot of effect on me. There are some things that do bother me. And I told you about that before. And when it comes to health, that's the stuff that came up for me, right? And so you can see what hurts in others. And when it triggers you, it's hurting inside of you. So protesting for your own self to be filled with joy. My answer is go above the line and protest for that. Be a protester saying, I want to have that. Work on yourself, fill it up. And when the collectively, when we all begin to start healing within, and we start looking within and start finding where we all need to grow, we all start to vibrate at a more collective, powerful state, and we build strength. So asking yourself when you're watching the world, when it's in a state of war, and we're in these mini civil wars, whether you are in the front lines, and again, if you're partaking in any type of protesting, it's okay, or you're feeling this war raging within yourself, asking yourself these 3 questions is going to help. Okay, so here's number 1. What are you afraid of losing? Number 2, what belief are you afraid of releasing? And number 4, what new way of living scares you because it's unknown? So I'm going to give it to you in a more simplified way. Here's the faster version. Okay. What things will you lose? Are you afraid to lose? What thoughts are you afraid to release? And what truth will you live? Things, thoughts, and truth. That's where we're at. So the unknown scares people, guys, unless you know your truth. How do you know your truth? Well, ask, if you could live the life of your dreams, what would it be? That's your truth. And I told everybody the last call, it's totally different for everyone. So your ego is the bully trying to force others to share your truth. And when they don't feel the truth that you have, you start to go, oh my God, they don't like what I like. They don't want what I want. They don't feel what I feel. You feel less than. And that's total bullshit. Total BS. I want you guys to check the internal war that you're protesting for attention. You're putting the word out there. You're telling everybody, I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm afraid to have these things go away or lose these things. Things would be things, right? What do you fear to lose? What things? A business, a relationship, a friendship, a job, whatever. What thing? Okay. Think of it. What are your internal war that you need attention for? What thoughts are you afraid to let go of? Those are beliefs that might be stupid now for you. They don't build you up. They don't bring you above the level of 200. And what are you resisting to heal? So protesting reveals your level of confidence. That's really all this is. Okay. And so it's such a good thing if you're expanding from the wake up. When someone triggers you or you're seeing it, I want you to go, what did that upset inside of me? What war did it set off in me? What is it waking up in me? That is when you are conscious. That is, what is consciousness? Waking up. Unconscious, conscious. I mean, it's very basic. We have this big word thinking it's something big and it's not. It's just, how awake are you? Okay. And so when it comes to confident consciousness, in order to stay above the line, you got to be confident where you're going. And the only way you can be confident in where you're going is to take that list and go, Am I still there? Do I want to stay there? Am I going to continually to focus on being there and not there? So the next message I got from my guides when I was up on the grid and I went just 10,000, it's really probably where I'm going out in space looking down on the planet is probably like 50,000, 100,000, but let's just say I'm up on the grid. And the next message I got was speed. Okay, guys, so speed. So it's time to produce the same quality that we've been producing, but at a lower, slower speed. And I don't mean lower, but like slowing things down, okay? So this is time for you to improve body, mind, and spirit, but it must slow down and pause. Quality is overpowering quantity. So quality over quantity doesn't mean you can't have more. It's just showing you that quality is going to be more important right now than quantity. So through these breakdowns that you're viewing right now in the world, and I'm calling them breakdowns, they're some of it's destruction, right? But it's destroying the old, and the new beauty is emerging. Hard to see, I know, but it really is. And so technology, which I've prepared you all for, we're all moving into the age of Aquarius, and Aquarian energy keeps pushing itself and saying, I'm coming, and it pokes in and then it pulled back out. And these 4 planets in retrograde are going to be here till July, and then it's going to kick back in, and they're going to slowly break apart coming into October, but not until October will we be opening up. So you're going to keep having these waves of truth showing up that poke you on the side and poke your buttons and push your buttons and trigger you a little bit. So Aquarian energy as technology will emerge, allowing the world to go faster where it was slow. And a good example was like slow to see a doctor, slow to get help, slow to get treatment of things. And now doctors are getting right on a FaceTime and talking to you in 2 seconds, right? Fast. Things that were slow are going fast, okay? And then slowing down what was fast and poorly maintained. So slowing down what was in hyperspeed and not having any maintenance, and speeding up what was slow. Fascinating how it flopped, right? Isn't that cool? So reality is going to be replacing duality. Reality is replacing duality, which was this piece I showed over here. It's going to start working its way into what is really happening right now and not what is dualistic, and I call it polarized thinking. Because not one is right and not one is wrong. Because when you're in reality and you're in neutrality, you can turn in any direction and you won't be so far from it. But when you're over here trying to get to the other side, it's a lot of work and it's uncomfortable. So when reality replaces duality, it makes darkness seem darker and light seem brighter. Okay. And so I want you to be aware, if you're a bright light, and all of you on this call are bright lights, it's going to be uncomfortable for many of you who have been in watching people come around you, or anybody who has moved up to the light and they've been in darkness for a long time, right? Because I mean, think of it this way, right? Like it takes time for your eyes to adjust when the light turns on. That's how they feel when you walk in the room, which is why I'm asking you all to be lighthouses and not walk and not go to and not fix people. I'm asking you to stand in place like a lighthouse and don't move and just shine the light. And when they're ready to turn and they've been in dark for a long time and they look at your light, they're like, oh, that's where I go. And they can slowly work towards the bright light. But you just shining your light on people, it's uncomfortable if they haven't been there. It just is. It would be uncomfortable for anyone. All right. So many of you are watching the media and anything on the screen, right? And you're viewing what's below 200. And the flip side is it's revealing what's happening inside of you at the same time. And as the collective planet shifts to being in more powerful truth. So in order for that to happen, right, we're all becoming truth seekers, and we're getting brighter, and then the darkness seems to get darker. So when you get brighter, it just seems darker, and it's not. It's just a vibration of consciousness. That's it. That's just where they are. And they, I mean, whoever. There's no judgment anymore. You've got to just allow the darkness to be dark, and you choose to brighten up and lighten up. And so it's not a common practice to live truth. That's not common. We've been living everyone else's truth in external energy. And it hasn't been for living in a truth reality consciousness for probably 40, 50 years. But there's no turning back. Okay. There's no turning back. You are all being shown the difference between power versus force. Okay. Force is destructive and heavy, like shackles holding you back. And power is expansion and light and solutions. So it's either shackles holding you down below the water, or it's solutions rising you up to the light. That's simple. And so spirit is giving everyone the preparation of waking up to powerfully live their truth. And it's showing up all the time, every day. It's not forcing everyone. It's just giving you all a choice. And it's giving you all a choice for these type of scenarios, these classes, these topics, these situations. Go, look, if you just come over here, we'll show you what you've been doing is a really good job. You're doing great. And so all of you on this call are higher consciousness vibration, and you're all an example of misalignment of what you're seeing outside of the force and destruction. And so it's uncomfortable to watch. It's that simple. And because it's uncomfortable to watch, and if you vibrate above 200, so when the hurt appears on a picture, on a video, on a text, you have a choice to stay in power or not. Okay. And so if you're going to stand in your power, shining your gifts from your spirit and from DMT light, right? Your DMT is your spirit molecule within yourself. You have two options: forcing others to see you, which is what I was talking about earlier, protesting that others feel your fear and pain and come to you, right? That's forcing people to feel what you feel so you don't have to do it alone. Or empowering others to see their light within. And that is where you stand up and go, this is what it's like to just stay here and be happy and bright and empower people. You all have a choice, guys, to dim or light. Be that bright, unshakable lighthouse. People will awaken when they're ready to open their eyes. This is something that's irritating a lot of you. A lot of you have been blowing up my phone and telling me like, what is wrong with people? Nothing. There's nothing wrong with anyone. Empowerment is, I believe in you. Empowerment is the lighthouse, and all the boats are out there in the darkness and they don't know where to go, and the light goes on. They go, oh, that's where I go. Yes, that's it. That's, I believe in you to get your boat here. Empathy is different than compassion. I brought this up before, but I'm going to make sure you guys understand what's happening. Empathy is, I feel your pain and now I'm in pain with you. Can we commiserate together? Can we talk about how bad and dark and deep and forceful this all is together and be angry about it? That's empathy. Doesn't mean it's wrong to be empathetic, but we talk a lot about empathy, and I am a big fan of compassion, which is, I respect your pain. Don't take the pain away from people, but also don't look down on them. I respect your pain and I believe in you to break free of it. And I cannot stress this enough. The second you empower someone to tell them you believe in them and you think they're amazing and beautiful and powerful and brilliant and bright, it literally is like a game changer. They're kind of like, you do? You think I'm great? You think people down below the level of consciousness of 200 that are fighting and angry right now, have anyone told them, I think you're amazing, I believe in you? You think they're having that said to them? They're not. So it's time for you to be the one that shares that. You to be the one that says, hey, I see you, you're amazing. And they're like, but I'm a bad person. No, you're not. You're just kind of dipped. You dip below the surface. Okay, so understand that this can happen very I want to make sure you guys understand how simple and how easily this can happen. And it happens in swift, short, small little moments. It's not like this big grand, people are always looking for fireworks. And I don't want you to miss it. Okay, so yes, you can see it on screen, and I'm using some of that, but because if you're someone like me or a version of me, you're going to miss it. because I do focus on everything above. I am literally unconditional love. I focus on love. I literally cannot see more pain. I look for love, even in the darkness. Okay. And so I thought, I don't want it to be these small moments in time and you miss it. And so I wanted you all to see how you're all being woken up on small levels too. Okay. And so what level that you get woken up is totally up to you to see your own vibration, to look within yourself and see inside of you where your little anger war is going on. And so I recently went to the doctor, and it was new for me to see her, and she had done such a thorough review of my life. Like, this intake form was deep, and I was like, whoa, this is a lot of stuff here, right? And I was reminded from this experience with her of several past experiences with death and trauma that I hadn't thought of in a while. And I had to feel for a short moment the trauma. But then I realized I'm confident in my truth, who I am, why I'm here, right? Because I broke free from that trauma 3 times, death, right? And I'm more confident from it now. And no, I don't want to dip down and repeat it. And so many are getting these same little triggers right now from simply watching your social media page. And they're not catching going to the doctor or having a conversation with their friend or having a conversation with a family member or having a conversation with, I don't know, a coworker that just passes by and brings something up. So some are they're getting triggered, and then they're triggered into that emotion, and some are staying in that triggered emotion because they're not confident in seeing what is actually doing for you by giving you a reflection of your own pain to break out. And so pain is what made me more confident, not less. I can take the hard times now and I can see, oh, I came out of that pretty confident in those challenges. And so when you're getting triggered, I really, really want you guys to start opening up to this, right? When I was looking at that and kind of the stuff came up from the doctor, I was like, ooh, so because this other stuff wasn't triggering me, the big stuff wasn't, it was something small. So there's the collective I'm trying to teach you all. The collective planet, everyone on this planet could be something small getting you to wake up. And it could be something really big that's just painful and difficult to watch, waking you up. But when you get triggered, big or small, I want you all to ask yourself this, A or B, okay? Repeating your old wounds and staying below the line with others on the slow boat to ascension. Do you want to be that guy on the slow boat? Or do you want to let the pain appear in any form to be a reminder to have compassion, not only for the person that's delivering the pain, but yourself as well. Compassion for you to expand and know that it's improving your confidence. Okay? And so every dark experience, guys, is raising consciousness, like it or not. And I needed you all to see that so you don't start thinking, the sky is falling, because get ready, there's going to be a third wave. I know you saw it first, COVID came, then the riots came, and the looting and the destruction, and there's going to be a third one. Who knows what it will be? But it's to wake people up, to become more confident, is actively choosing, get ready, consciousness level that you want and to stay there. Don't worry, you will cycle. You will go back down, just like the doctor brought me back down to a memory. And I was like, ooh, it brought up anxiety. It brought up, some guilt. It brought up a little bit of, anger at myself. I was angry. I was like, wait. And then I was like, oh, no, I'm not there anymore. Right. So it did. And I dipped, and then I came right back up again. That's what I want you to all be conscious of, the dipping. Okay. The going down and then coming back up again in that form. All right. So make sure you guys get that. It's really important. All right. So topic, let me give you the tips, and I'm going to bring Sarah on. Let's talk some more about this with some other people. Tip number 1, protesting is for your own healing. So let's not go blaming everybody else for while you're out there telling them, whether you're putting something on your Facebook or you're yelling at someone, or whether you're standing in the streets and you're walking down. It's okay. But check your things, your thoughts, and your truth. What war is raging inside of you that needs to get clarified in those 3 topics? Okay, that's tip number one. Number two, confident consciousness is a choice to be above or below, right? To be above in power or below in force. I choose unconditional love and allowing, period. That's just what I do. I have remind myself even when I get down, dip below the surface. And number three, will you shine your truth or fall into others' truths? That's what we've been doing for 40 years. So it's not like you've done anything wrong. You just didn't know. People are like, this is the truth. That's the way it is. And we're like, okay, guess that's what the truth is. Now you get to wake up and ask, what is my truth? All right. So I'm going to leave you with one question and we're going to bring Sarah on. The question of the night I want to leave you with is, do you see yourself in those people who piss you off the most? Do you see yourself? What 3 T's will you embrace and raise your consciousness? So I'm going to leave you with going onto my website, go to ideserveitnow.com or my name, DawnThompson.com. They'll both go there. Go to tools on the main bar, the main toolbar, or the main, it'll say tools. Click on tools, scroll to the bottom, and it'll say Dawn's tools. And on Dawn's tools, the consciousness scale is there. Just click on it and push print or keep it, or I don't know, save it onto your phone, wherever you want to keep it. And thank you for the compliments, by the way, guys. I'm getting them in and I appreciate that. I want you all to hear me, please. It's just a choice to go above the level into power or down below into forcefulness. And you can't force this stuff, guys. You just got to stand in your power and be bright. And that's how it's going to work. So I'm going to jump in, guys, and bring Sarah on. We have this beautiful, lovely guest of mine that I'm going to move over to the headlines with me, and I'm going to have her join us. So just one second, if you can all, I'm going to unmute her and see if I can get her on. Sarah?
I didn't know I had to comb my hair, but.
You don't have to comb your hair. You look beautiful. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Welcome everybody, Sarah. So Sarah, usually when I get to this section of the call, the consciousness, I call it conscious confessions, like conscious, like what are we waking up to? We kind of chatted a little bit today and I threw it at you. You could either open up your question of what your discussion was, or was there something in this call that kind of triggered you to go, huh, what would you like to bring up for everybody?
I think that, I think you talked about it a little bit. I think it's that, I told you when I texted you earlier that I was reading The Surrender Experiment, which I felt like it was recommended to me by 2 people. And then I felt like in a time like this, I was getting very rattled. Like last time we talked, it was just like, last time we talked was even before, as you called it, the second wave with the riots and everything else. And so I looked at it, everything is opportunity and whatnot, and was trying to stay positive. But no matter how positive you stay and how like optimistic you are, like you just said, with the downturn. And so I started reading The Surrender Experiment, and it like captivated me today. Just because I think it's what all of us go through, and it's extreme, obviously, when he talks about some of it, but the thing that I have taken away from just the beginning of it is like, he went so extreme one direction to find his inner peace and to calm his voices inside of him, that he missed out on the opportunity to uplift his voice and do something good with it. Right. So it's suppress one to help to do what are you doing or trying to do? And so what I had said to you earlier was figuring out a way, or chatting with you, which I think all of this, obviously everything that you've talked about today, but is how to just sometimes just let it go. And I think the word you said that probably is the most meaningful is compassion, because it's the
hard,
only way.
Right?
What's that?
Wouldn't you say it's hard?
It's hard because I think you fall into empathy far more than you do compassion. And so I think that you think you're being compassionate when in fact you're just being empathetic, and being empathetic doesn't mean you have any understanding of what the other person is going through. And it just creates more issues. So I as you were talking about compassion, I was like, oh crap. Like that's really what it is. Like it's like, be understanding and respectful of what somebody else is thinking, but it doesn't mean you have to get sucked down their rabbit hole. And I think it's like, I mean, you've known me for a while, but I mean, that's what I do. Like you get so sucked down in, and then everybody else's problems are your problems, and that you can't get out of it. Like you're so stuck. And so I think what you just ended on one of your tips that you were talking about was, who pisses you off the most and what is it that you, right? Like we could go through it, but it's little things. Like I said to you today, like my text, I was like, what is this necessity to just keep berating myself about everything? Like at what point do you?
Oh, so there's the compassion for yourself that we missed, huh?
Totally. Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is probably more challenging than being compassionate of others, right? Because you sit and you're like, but again, it all is so, it's like you said it, you started it from the very beginning in the first like 5 minutes. It's like, it's so simple, right? But it's so complicated because of its simplicity. So
Sarah, you literally have touched on exactly what I was hoping you could reiterate to everybody. And I hope everybody's hearing this on this call. The piece that she just said, and I know many people on this call, I can't see a lot of people on YouTube, but you don't have compassion for yourself. Like we're so projecting outward. We're out trying to fix everybody else and take away their pain that we forget that if we just make ourselves shiny and happy, beautiful people will go, can I hang out with you? Like, can you teach me how to be bright and shiny like you? And Sarah's the epitome of this, because you beat yourselves up so much. And I'm like, Sarah, but look at you. And then look what you do and look who you are. And you're like, well, that's no big deal. We have to start having a little compassion for kindness and generosity, and what do we want, and how do we heal what's in the anger and the war inside of us. I don't mean war, negative war. I mean like the dissonance and the disconnection and the pain that we put on ourselves is not necessary when we're really doing good things.
Yeah. I think like, I mean, again, the harshest critic is yourself, right? Mm-hmm. But then you look back and you start to go, okay, so everything I was doing then you becomes like, are you even authentically who you're trying to be? Or are you just trying to be who everybody wants you to be? And I think when you become empathetic, you have no purpose anymore, right? Like you've lost your purpose, because your purpose is now everybody else's pain, if you want to call it pain, or everybody else's whatever. And so I think that but it's tough. I mean, I think we all do it. Like, it's everybody wants to, on some level, like have their own sense of victimhood when they're down. It's easy to fall into it, right? Because you're like, I can't get back up, but it's like, you always can. It just.
Yeah, so let's talk on your book, and we don't have to go into the book, but the topic of your book is.
Oh, my book or this book?
Yeah, the book she's reading. Oh. So he's one of my most favorite people in the world, FYI, everybody. So his The Untethered Soul is, have you read The Untethered Soul?
It's next. Oh, okay. Relax. One at a time.
I'm like harassing her and I'm telling her to be compassionate, right? Like, what am I doing? So it is literally one of my all-time favorite books. Tony even got mad at me once. He was like, I read The Untethered Soul, and he had another favorite. And he was like, I push it on everybody because I just love it. But Michael Singer has this ability to try and help people go, look, you've got to surrender. And that's where I'm trying to get you all into neutrality. It's the surrender of saying, look, if I can just have compassion and go, look, let's just say you don't like you said, seeing what they're doing out there. And you're like, I feel for them, and it draws you in. You don't have to like it. You just have to have compassion for the fact that whatever they're doing is for their highest good for them. And I mean, guys, down to looting, right? And that's a hard thing to wrap people's brain around. What she's talking about in this book, the surrender is that, right? Like going, how am I supposed to see looting as a good thing? It's not a good or bad. It's a thing. And then I look at a human who then went and got $500,000 donated to them because their business got looted and burned to the ground. I think humanity and consciousness got risen to all that group right there at a whole different level. So we couldn't see what surrender of a human being was, backing out of something and seeing it from a different light. I know it's hard to look from that, but now we have to take something that big and that painful to look at and go, there's got to be a higher powerful reasoning behind this. Now we take it down to Sarah. Now Sarah has to surrender in your moments. How do you do that?
Well, I think that like when you read it from the extremes, and I think everything is an extreme, right? That you could use as a simple example, but it's even I was saying to a friend tonight, it's like even the simple things of we are so, and again, you touched on this already, but it's like we're so uh, demanding of affirmation for our decisions that we make because social media has done that, where it's like we're not going to make decisions. And I think in the last like probably 8 months, I would say in my relationship, like I've made decisions based on what other people tell me to do, how to act, and at the end of the day, if something ends because you were unauthentic, isn't that worse than like if something ends because you were who you were and like you can't change who you are? But if you're pretending to be something else, like, and that's I think a lot of like I was telling a friend of mine, like reading today, and I like cruised through. I like took an hour to not work today and wound up taking 3. But it was just getting through this and realizing like you can apply it to personal life, you can apply it to work life, you can apply it to all these different parts of your life, and how you interpret it is going to be very different. But for me, it was very much like I'm a control freak, and you can't control. The outcome is uncontrollable, right? So you can't predict if you meet somebody 5 seconds from now that they're going to like you, like, but you can't control that. So why waste all this positive energy on trying to make them like you? And I think like I've done that for so long where I'm like, but they have to like me. I'm like, why would you not like me? I'm like super fun. And then you go, you know what? Like there's so many other people in the world, who cares? But I love it.
That's such a perfect example of explaining, because what you said is like, if you're living in your truth and they don't like you, you shouldn't want that vibration in your space anyway. Right. And so, and if you're not being true, you're catering to that vibration and you're moving off of your neutrality and you're moving off of surrender and you're moving off of you, which means it will always feel, y'all get ready for this because she just said it, uncomfortable. You won't like it, that you won't like them not liking you. And now you're questioning who you are and you don't like who you are with them because you're being them and you're never someone else. You're always you. This is not an easy concept, but once you grasp it and you go, wait a minute, what is my truth? Again, most people know me, like, and people ask me like, you're okay with me doing that, Dawn? Let's say it's something that most people would be like, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with you doing that. When you're done, you're done. Well, when you get permission even to be bad, then you don't want to be bad anymore, because it's not like there's no resistance and there's no extreme. And you're like, all right, well, now I'll just go back on my merry way. So being in truth is more difficult than actually catering to everybody else's truths, because then you don't have to be powerful. And you are a powerful person. You have this gift of powerful presence, yet there's a part of you that caters to everybody else's power. You makes them powerful and you're exhausted.
Yeah. And it's not worth, like, if you're not gonna, what I've realized in the last 2 weeks is, or last week maybe, is like, if you're gonna, even if your part of your purpose is to build other people up, if you spend your entire time building them up and not building yourself up, there's no, you're gonna fail, because it's like you've allowed them to take away every ounce of power that you have, or should, or would have, or positive energy, or whatever it may be, or however you want to call it.
Yeah. So does that help? Does that help you see the correlation between, and thank you for sharing that book with all of us, because it's like such a perfect like culmination to tonight, like to the call. And it's just an explanation to everybody on this call that surrender is no different than acceptance. And it's no different than being on the consciousness map and pushing yourself back up to acceptance and neutrality, which is a higher vibration. And when you're in a higher vibration of acceptance and neutrality and surrendering to what is, well, if you're just going to be in what is, you can go, okay, well, that's addressing things what they react. This is what, and this goes back to what, like I said, when I went and asked my guides, what are we doing? What do we need to do? That's the reality check I was trying to teach everybody. We need to start living in reality instead of duality, which is what she's talking about. right? This is the surrender aspect of surrendering to the now instead of pushing yourself to extremes of polarity that you can go there, but it's still going to pull you back. And
Well, and
ask
I think
you, hey, Sarah, are you going to be Sarah today?
kind of depends on the day.
There's something else I
But I think that, you know, the other thing that this, before I even read the book, the friend who had recommended it he was reading it and he was telling me about it. And then it was funny, like the only thing that I could understand, because I was like, I was paying attention, but I'm sure I was in and out of paying attention. But anyway, was like the word surrender. And so like, I always think of Seinfeld with Serenity Now. But I think with this book, like truly, like if nothing else, is to just like step back for a moment from a situation and say, okay, surrender, just to mentally put yourself there and figure out what that trigger word is that you can then step back. And because you said it before, where it's like you have to like rein yourself in almost a little bit and know what you're. But I think that something like this, like I sent it to a friend of mine, and I sent it to a friend of mine, and I told him, I was like, he's like, is it good? And I was like, well, I feel like it's you telling the story. I was like, you're a little less hippie than this dude, but like I feel like this is you telling the story. And I was like, I really send you the book, but I was like, I feel like this is one of those books that like when you have a moment and you're having like a downtime, it's like something you pick up to refocus yourself and re-energize and say, okay, what is all this work I've been doing for myself? What is the purpose of it all again?
You're awesome.
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
It's Monday. I haven't been burnt out yet.
Thank you for joining us and sharing that. It was like literally perfect, and I so appreciate it.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you. I'll see you soon. All right. Bye. Okay, guys, that was Sarah, the amazing Sarah. And I hope you all understand that this is kind of a collective, right? And we are all moving to that surrender piece and to that neutrality piece. And you can call it whatever word you want. I call it truth, which is why I started this truth tribe. I honestly is why I started this truth tribe, because for me, it's always been, I want all of you to live your truth. And your truth is totally going to be neutral and centered, and it's going to be about you, not about other people. We are done catering to everybody else's needs and wants. Doesn't mean you don't love and empower and get them to a bigger place. It's just time to change. Okay. So I'm going to complete this call in 2 minutes here. Let me finish up with giving you guys the last tidbits of details. So remember that the consciousness grid that I gave you, it is not the full consciousness scale that David Hawkins has. It's bigger. I just condensed mine down. So mine is condensed down, but you're welcome to my version. And it is on my website, ideserveitnow.com, or Dawn Thompson, remember, and just go to tools, the top, and scroll down to the bottom of the tool page, and you'll see Dawn's tools. Open it up, and there is the consciousness grade. You can print it there. The other thing is any of these topics, the things, thoughts, and truth, all in my balls book that is also on my website on the homepage and or on amazon.com. So you want more information on that, go get the book. Don't, like Sarah says, find a centeredness within you, find what gets you back to you. And I know the book is called Balls, but it's about taking your balls back, taking your power back. That's what the book is about, being in power. And last but not least, the couples toolbox that you all know is on there, and half of you already have access to that toolbox. It's my favorite product, like I said, to date, only because I keep getting asked, how do I do the self-work, Dawn? How do I stay centered and work on myself? And my answer is go work on you. And so you don't need to be in a relationship to use the toolbox, because it's not only for couples, it's anyone wanting to wake up to their BS. And it helps to remind you how to do that. Okay, so all of the info's on my website, so y'all know how to find it. I am so grateful to all of you to always be joining me and talking at this higher consciousness level. I love you all. I am going to send you all blessings from the grid. I always do. I shower you all with pink, beautiful hearts of love and protection. I'm so happy y'all joined me tonight. So expect more next week. I'm going to start posting also some mini video clips on typically on Thursdays now to keep you guys updated a little bit. They're going to be called the Doctrine Detox, only because I think doctrine is beliefs, right? And we're having a hard time getting rid of these. So I'm going to start utilizing those a little bit more. So please share the replay of this YouTube to friends and help people sign up. Click on the bell below so that you get notifications when we are live and we are on, as well as joining the Zoom call. It'll give you notifications as well. You all know how to find me. I hope you have an awesome, beautiful night. Stay centered, stay in power, brightest blessings. I will see you guys soon. Take care.